te madanugraho yat yanman lokan rahautsrujantam dishtya tadrishwan vishadanu. Oh, honest one, your present life is the last and the supermost, because in this term of life, you have been awarded my ultimate favor. Now you can go to my transcendental abode, Vaikuntha, by leaving this universe of conditioned living entities. Your visit to me in this lonely place because of your pure and unflinching devotion service is a great boon for you. Here it is. Charama, Bhavanam Charamaha Asaditaha Madanugraha. Madanugraha. Isha Madanugraha. Tasya Bhagyam Abhinandati. First of all, he appreciates his good fortune. Sesha Bhavaha Janma Te Bhavana Madhya Charamaha. Yadyasmin Madanugraha Asaditaha Labdhaha. No, it's not like this. It is actually Yad, which means Yasmin. Yad Punar Mam Raha Ekante Vishadanu Vritya Ekanta Bhaktya Tadrishwan Drishtavanasi. Ekanta Bhaktya Drishtavanasi. Now that you have seen me with unflinching devotion, Etadishtya Bhadram Jatam Vyarthaha. So this itself is a great boon for you. It's great auspiciousness. Nilokan Nishabdena Jivaha. Tesham Lokan Utsrijantam Vaikuntham Gatshantam Ityarthaha. So you'll give up this world of the human beings. The world of the human beings is, it's not that you'll give up this world of the human beings and go to Swarga and be reinstated as a Vasu. No. Here, Nri does not refer to humans. It refers to the conditioned souls, the Jivas. So you will give up the worlds of the conditioned souls and you will go to Vaikuntha. And myself, I'm going to Vaikuntha. You will also come to Vaikuntha. That is the idea. Bhavanam Vaswadi Rupena api Loka Sangrahartham Bahunam Avataranam Charamah Paramakashtham Apannaha. Tat Amshi Rupa Ityarthaha. Wow, this is very nice explanation. Regarding the different births of Uddhava in the form of Vasu and so on, all these avatars, these are all incarnations of Uddhava for the benefit of the world. This is the ultimate one. The ultimate one, Charamaha, Paramakashtham. So he explains that Charama, generally it is understood to be the last. That is a superficial meaning. And that meaning is also possible, but he takes Charama to be ultimate. It is a final, ultimate stage. In other words, this is the original form of Uddhava. Vishadanu Shuddha Bhavataya Anagamanena Yad Drishtavam Tad Dishtya Bhadrameva Kritam. With a pure attitude of service to me, you have followed me and you have seen me. This is simply due to, this fortune is simply due to good, this auspiciousness is due to just good fortune. Ashwasayati. Lord Krishna consoles Uddhava. Okay. When a person is fully conversant with knowledge of the Lord, as far as can be known by a perfect living entity in the liberated state, is allowed to enter into the spiritual sky where the Vaikuntha planets exist. The Lord was sitting in a lonely place, just about to disappear from the vision of the inhabitants of this universe. And Uddhava was fortunate to see him even at that time and thus receive the Lord's permission to enter Vaikuntha. The Lord is everywhere at all times, and his appearance and disappearance are merely the experience of the inhabitants of a particular universe. He is just like the sun. The sun does not appear or disappear in the sky. It is only in the experience of men that in the morning the sun arises and in the evening the sun sets. The Lord is simultaneously both in Vaikuntha and everywhere within and without Vaikuntha. Chat. When a person is fully conversant with knowledge of the Lord as far as can be known, what is this knowledge? This knowledge is realized knowledge. Always. 13. Pura prokta Pura maya proktam majayanabhye padme nishannaya mamadi sarge jnanam param man mahimava bhasam yat suryo bhagavatam vadanti. O Dhava, in the lotus millennium, in the days of yore, at the beginning of the creation, I spoke unto Brahma, who was situated on the lotus that grows out of my navel, about my transcendental glories, which the great sages describe as Srimad Bhagavatam. Dadami yaduktam tadev nirdishati. So he had indicated, Lord Krishna had indicated that he is going to give his blessings to him. That is now pointed out here by the Lord. Purvasmin Padme Kalpe. In the previous Padma Kalpa, Adi Sarge, Sarga Upakrame, at the beginning of that Kalpa, Man Mahima, Leela, Avabhasyate Yenata. Srimad Bhagavatam is about Krishna's transcendental glories, which means it is about his transcendental pastimes. Yes.
So, Hare Krishna, in the previous, commentary, previous verse, we read that Uddhav, he is taking many incarnations like Vasu and others. So, but earlier we read that Vasu came in the body of Uddhava in Dwarka. So, are they not different personalities?
Jiva Goswami, I don't remember if it was Jiva Goswami or Vishwanath Chakravarti.
Jiva Goswami.
They quoted one authority saying that some of them say that this Uddhava is actually the Vasu and that the original one had already become unmanifest. But even in that case, this one is simply an expansion of that Uddhava because he's an incarnation of that. For Loka Sangraha, he had taken birth here by the will of the Lord or in order to please the Lord. That should also be considered. Who?
Uddhava, he takes many births like Vasu and others.
Yeah, to benefit the world. Okay. Karma Sangraha. Pura Maya iti. Pura Brahme Kalpe. Dvitiya Skandhe Brahma Kalpa Kathanat. This is the Brahma Kalpa because the second canto talks about Brahma Kalpa. Jnanam Param Chatushloki Rupam. I spoke unto Brahma. He spoke unto Brahma Bhagavatam in the form of 4 verses. Man Mahimava Bhasam. Iti tasya nirvishesha pratipadakatvam na angikritam. The Srimad Bhagavatam clarifies my transcendental glories. From this, it is clear that the impersonal interpretation of Srimad Bhagavatam is not accepted. It's not acceptable to the text of Bhagavatam itself. It is not accepted by Krishna. Dadami iti yat pratishrutam tan nirdishyati pureti adi sarge brahma kalpe man mahima leela avabhasyate yena taditi swami charanaha mahima mahatmyam iti anye. So some authorities, they say that mahima simply refers to mahatmya. Bhagavatam chatushloki rupam. The explanation of the Supreme Self as given to Brahma and already explained the second canto of this great literature is further clarified here. The Lord said that the concise form of Srimad Bhagavatam as explained to Brahma was meant to elucidate his personality. The impersonal explanation of those 4 verses in the second canto is nullified herewith. Sridhar Swami also explains in this connection that the same concise form of the Bhagavatam concerned the pastimes of Lord Krishna and was never meant for impersonal indulgence. 14. Ityadritokta paramasya pumsa pratikshananugrahabhajanoham snehottharoma stalitakshirastam munchin chuchapran jalirabha bhashe. Uddhava said, O Vidura, when I was thus favored at every moment by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and addressed by him with great affection, my words failed in tears and the hairs on my body erupted. After smearing my tears, I, with folded hands, spoke like this. Ityevam adritascha asau uttaha cha aham. Pratikshanam. What is it, pratikshanam? Does he read it as pratikshanam? Yes, yes. He has a reading in which this Irama, this letter E, is long. Here it is short. He has a reading pratikshana, which is prati plus ikshana. Kripavaloke eva anugraha tasya bhajanaha patrabhutaha, which indicates that Uddhava received the blessing, the mercy of the Lord's merciful glance. He was the object of Krishna's merciful glance. Pathantare, and that's a variant reading, pratikshana, which is what we have. Anugrahasya patramiti. I was favored at every moment. Shushaha ashruni munchan avabhase uktavan asi. Abhasha. Varama are mixed up in Bengali. Jiva Goswami. Ataevahi ityadi Srimad Uddhava Vachanam ityadi loka bhavana vityanta. Utyaham adrita uktaha cha pratikshanam mantrana adishu uddhavam vina etat kopi na janati sa agachatu tadidam bhavishyati ityadi pratiksha. Pratikshanam. The Krishna Chakravarti Thakur interprets this word pratikshana, that the Supreme Lord had, I was the object of Krishna's mercy in the form of his waiting for me. Because when there were circumstances where Krishna was consulted for certain things, then he said things like, other than Uddhava, nobody else knows how to resolve it. Let him come. Then afterwards we will resolve this. So like this, he waited for Uddhava. Hrasva madhya pathe pratikshanam kshane kshane yaha anugraha tasya patram chaha ashruni. Otherwise, we take the reading with the short form of the vowel pratik, like we have here. 15. Konvishate pada saroja bhajam sudurlabhortheshu chaturshvapiha tathapi naham pravrinomi bhuman bhavat padam bhoja nishevanotsuka. Oh my Lord, devotees who engage in the transcendental loving service of your lotus feet have no difficulty in achieving anything within the realm of the 4 principles of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. But, O Great One, as far as I am concerned, I preferred only to engage in the loving service of your lotus feet. And this is quoted by Vilarupa Goswami Prabhu, where Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. Okay. Bhavata Deepika. Nahi Swagyana Nivritti Matra Kamo. It is not that I'm simply interested in eradicating my ignorance. Kintu tvat nishevana sukha. I'm very eager to serve you. Vayecha aghatamana acharanam drishtva me moho bhavati. And when I see impossible behavior in you, I become bewildered. Atastvam tattvajnanam dehi iti prarthayitum aha. And therefore, he wanted to ask the Lord, so please give me knowledge of the truth regarding you. And in order to ask that, first of all, he makes this particular observation. Oh no, Chaturshu Dharmadishu तापि हे भूमन् भवत् पदाम्बोजन निषेवन उत्सुकः अहं तान् न प्रवृणोमि तदैव निर्वेदयति कोन्वित्ति ननु भगवन् प्रभो. The word Bhagavan comes here. ननु भगवन् प्रभो किंकरं मां संसारान् मोचयितुं सारूप्यादिकं वा ग्राह्येतुं स्व ज्ञानं व्याजिहीर्षसि चेत् अलं तेन इत्याह क्षुपि स्व अज्ञानम्. He's telling the Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O my Lord, I'm your servant. If you want to deliver me from material existence, if you want to grant me sarupi and other forms of liberation, free me from ignorance and give me knowledge, enough of that. Chaturshu dharmadishu madhye padasarojam bhajatam konu durlabha. For those who are engaged in the service of your lotus feet, which amongst dharma, artha, kama, moksha is difficult to attain. Iti sakamanam api vinapi jnanam pada bhajanena eva mokshadi phalasiddhi syaditi bhav. So even for the sakama devotees of your Lordship, without engaging in the cultivation or in the process of jnana, simply by serving your feet, the perfection of the attainment of moksha and other results can be attained. This is what he implies here. Aham tu tathapi swateva praptan api tan arthan na vrinami. Even in that situation, which means even if I attain dharma artha kama moksha, I will not accept it. Tatra hetuhu. And the reason for that, bhavat padam bhojan nishevanotsukaha. I am anxious to serve your lotus feet. Ato jnanena mama kim karyam iti bhavaha. So the implication is, what do I have to do with the process of jnana? 16. No, purport. Those who are associated with the Lord in the Vaikuntha planets achieve all the bodily features of the Lord and appear to be the same as Lord Vishnu. Such liberation is called Sarupya Mukti, which is one of the 5 kinds of liberation. The devotees engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord never accept Sayujya Mukti or merging in the rays of the Lord called the Brahmajyoti. The devotees can achieve not only liberation, but any success in the realm of religiosity, economic development, or sense gratification, up to the standard of the demigods in the heavenly planets. But such a pure devotee as Uddhava refuses to accept any such facilities. A pure devotee wants simply to engage in the service of the Lord and does not consider his own personal benefit. 16. Karmanyanihasya bhavo bhavasya कर्मण्यनीहस्य भवो भवस्यते दुर्गाश्रयोथारि भयात् पलायनम कालात्मनो यत् प्रमदायुताश्रमः स्वत्मन्त्रते खिद्यति धीर्विदामिह. My Lord, even the learned sages become disturbed in their intelligence when they see that your greatness engages in fruitive work, although you are free from all desires. That you take birth, although you are unborn. That you flee out of fear of the enemy and take shelter in a fort, although you are the controller of invincible time. And that you enjoy household life surrounded by many women, although you enjoy in yourself. Aghatamana acharanam darshayati. He now points out the impossible behavior exhibited by the Lord. Karmani anihasya nisprihasya nishkriyasya va. Engagement in fruitive activities by someone who has no desire for any fruit of them, or a person who is actually inactive in the first place. Abhavasya ajanmanah bhavaha, janma, the unborn taking birth. Ala atmanah tava aribhayat durga ashrayaha. You are yourself the very form of time, the destroyer of the worlds, and you take shelter of a fort out of fear of your enemy. Palayanamcha, you run away also. Swatmane ratihi yasya tasya bahvibhi stribhi grastashrama. You are absorbed in enjoyment in yourself, and you are in the grastashrama with many wives. Iti yad iha asmin vishaye vidusham api dhi samshayena khidye. On these subject matters, even the learned souls are disturbed by doubts. Your present life is the last. How to understand this philosophy when my life is last? When my life is last, or again I have to take birth. What is the process? When we make spiritual progress, it will become very, very obvious, because when our anarthas reduce and our spiritual consciousness also awakens, then gradually we ourselves begin to easily understand. Prabhupada keeps saying that when you're eating, you do not require certificate from someone whether your hunger is going down or not, like that. Kramasandarbha. Nannu evam chet tarhi katham kimapi gyatum ishtam vartate jadeva maya vyanjitam veda aham antar manasipsitam te ityanena satyam. So then, what can be understood? What can be desired? That has already been indicated in 3.4.11. This is being brought out. It's a possible rhetorical objection. So the Lord's point is, yes, Satyam, yes, that's true. Uddhava's point is, yes, that's true. It's not possible to understand the Lord fully and so on. Intuna atmartham. I don't wish to know this for my own self. Yasyam leelayam pracha tasya stava bhakta kripa vaibhavam mayat gyatatvat. Because I already know by the glory of your mercy, by the mercy of your devotees. Tathapi Maitreya sakshikena tad vachanena anyam tatha sushtu pratyapayatumeva mama tatha ipsati. Vidyapayanaha karmani iti tribhihi. But because Maitreya was here as a witness, he wanted Krishna to make and to explain himself in such a manner that they would all be convinced. So Uddhava, he desired all of this. And then he submitted a statement in 3 verses beginning with the current verse. Vidam etadrishanam sarva jnanam api. Even souls who know everything like Maitreya, they become disturbed with doubts. अस्माकं दासानां पुनः तद्रूपगुणलीला एव दर्शनस्मरणाद्यैः परमानन्दहेतुः तासामपि ज्ञानेन अतीव आग्रहः. For us, who are your servants, the Lord's forms, qualities, and pastimes, they themselves are the reasons for supreme bliss because of seeing them, remembering them, and so on. Yatkinchit jnanasya sattva samasthena jnana asambhavacha. But the great eagerness to understand them, because there is some knowledge there. But it's impossible to have complete knowledge about this. किन्तु तत्र लीलाः काश्चन काश्चन युक्त्या विरुध्यन्ते तत्रैव मे जिज्ञासितं वर्तते इत्याह. But there are some pastimes which contradict logic. And I'm inquisitive about those pastimes. This he reveals in 2 verses. अनीहस्य निष्क्रियस्य कर्माणि गोवर्धन उद्धरण आदीनि न तु विश्व सृष्टि आदीनि. You are nishkriya. You do not engage in any activity. But you engage in activities such as lifting the Govardhan hill. This is not a reference to Krishna's engaging in creation, maintenance, annihilation, and so on of the material universe. तेषां हि माया गुणकृतानां त्वयि आरोपितत्वेन स्वरूपतः तावकत्व अभावात् निष्कलं निष्क्रियं शान्तं निरवध्यं निरञ्जनम् इति श्रुत्युक्तेन निष्क्रियत्वेन न विरोधः. Because the activities of creation, maintenance, annihilation of the material universes, they are actually superimposed on you because actually they are conducted by the modes of Maya. So actually, these activities are not conducted by Krishna. And the Shruti also says that the Supreme Absolute Being, he has no divisions, Nishkalam. He is not engaged in any of these activities. Nishkriyam, Shantam, he is pure. Niravadyam, he is defectless. Niranjanam, he is not tainted. So from the Shruti itself, we understand that he is Nishkriya and there is no contradiction. Govardhana Uddharana Adinam Karmanam tu Tvaya Swarupena eva Kritatvat Tesham Nishkriyattvena Virodhe eveti mama samshaya. But the activities of lifting the Govardhan hill, they are performed by you yourself. So that would contradict the scriptural description of you as Nishkriya, not engaging in any activity. Yadva. Alternative explanation. Narakrite parah brahmanaha tava narakrititve aprakrita ananta karmavatvam brahmatve prakrita aprakrita karma rahityam tatraiva brahma padasya rudhe. Now, since you are narakriti parabrahma, that is a scriptural description of Krishna from Vishnu Purana. He is a supreme Brahman in the form of a human being, who has the form of a human being. So as the form of a human being, you engage in unlimited aprakrita or non-material activities. But as Brahman, you do not engage in any activity, spiritual or material. Tatraiva Brahma Padasya Rudhe, because that is the primary understanding, primary meaning of the word Brahman. Nacha nirvishesha swarupameva Brahma savishesha swarupam Bhagavan iti swarupam bhedat vyavasteyam iti vachyam. And you cannot say that, no, that Brahman is the impersonal feature of the Lord. Bhagavan is the personal feature of the Lord. And this can be understood because there's a variety of features of the Lord. Swarupadvaya abhavat iti shashtoktehi shamsheva yataha tatha. Because in the 6th canto, we will see Swarupadvaya abhava. If I remember correctly, this is spoken by the demigods. Swarupadvaya abhavat. Samshayavayatah. So therefore, there is a doubt. Abhavasya ajanmanah janma. Kalatmanah tava jarasandhadyari bhayat alayanam samudra durga ashrayah cha. You are the very Atma of the destructive force of time. And out of fear of enemies such as Jarasandha, you run away and you take shelter of a fort in the middle of an ocean. Smatmanyevaratiryasyat tasyapi pramaddanam ayutena saha ashramaha griha ashrama prayukta deva pitradi yoge swa atma ramasya tavaratihi. Even though you experience pleasure in your own self, still with pramadas, with ladies of bewitching beauty, you are in the household ashrama, which means he is in contact with the devas, pitris, and all these. This is a reference to the Panchamahayagya, who are all, you have to engage in certain duties of removing the debts that you have received from the devas, pitris, rishis, and so on in the household ashrama. And you are attached to that. Rukmanyadi pramadabhi ramanetu tava atmaramata na apagachet. Your being the Atmarama does not go away by you enjoying the bewitching beauties headed by Rukmini. Tasam atmabhutatva, because they are part of your Atma, they are part of yourself. Ityaham janami eva, that I know certainly. Ateva maya ashrama shabdaha prayukta. That's why I used particularly the word ashrama. Iha asmin virodhe vidam vidusham abhi samadhana atarshanat khidyati. And because even the learned souls, their intelligence does not see any, because they don't reconcile all of this. I can see that. Therefore, my mind is disturbed. Or rather, their intelligences are disturbed. Pure devotees of the Lord are not very... Okay, what is this? There's something in the chat box. How to understand our spiritual consciousness is awakened. Oh, this is a simple thing. How does a blind man who is going to an operation, how does he know whether his vision has come or not? He knows. The simple thing is through personal experience, you'll know. If you don't have it, it means it has not come. That's all. It's a simple thing. Pure devotees of the Lord are not very much concerned with philosophical speculation in regard to transcendental knowledge of the Lord. Nor is it possible to acquire complete knowledge of the Lord. Whatever little knowledge they have about the Lord is sufficient for them, because devotees are simply satisfied in hearing and chanting about the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. This gives them all transcendental bliss. But some of the pastimes of the Lord appear contradictory, even to such pure devotees. Thus Uddhava asked the Lord about some of the contradictory incidents in his pastimes. The Lord is described as having nothing to do personally. And it is actually so, because even in the creation and sustenance of the material world, the Lord has nothing to do. It seems contradictory then to hear that the Lord personally lifts the Govardhan hill for the protection of his unalloyed devotees. The Lord is the supreme Brahman, the absolute truth. The personality of God is appearing like a man. But Uddhava had doubts whether he could have so many transcendental activities. There's no difference between the personality of Godhead and the impersonal Brahman. How then can the Lord have so many things to do, whereas the impersonal Brahman is stated to have nothing to do either materially or spiritually? If the Lord is ever unborn, how then is he born as a son of Vasudeva and Devaki? He is fearful even to Kala, the supreme fear. The supreme fear is the force of time. And even the force of time is afraid of Krishna. The Kalatmanaha has actually this sense. Prabhupada has accurately pointed it out. And yet the Lord is afraid of fighting Jarasandha and take shelter in a fort. How can one who is full in himself take pleasure in the association of many women? How can he take wives, just like a householder, take pleasure in the association of family members, children, relatives, and parents? All these apparently contradictory happenings bewilder even the greatest learned scholars. who thus bewildered cannot understand whether inactivity is a fact or whether his activities are only imitations. This is the exact point. Is he simply imitating? Like some other Vaishnava Sampradayas and all, they have this misconception that Krishna is only imitating. The solution is that the Lord has nothing to do with anything mundane. All his activities are transcendental. This cannot be understood by the mundane speculators. For the mundane speculators, there is certainly a kind of bewilderment, but for the transcendental devotees, there is nothing astonishing in this. The Brahman conception of the absolute truth is certainly the negation of all mundane activities. But the Parabrahman conception is full with transcendental activities. One who knows the distinctions between the conception of Brahman and the conception of Supreme Brahman is certainly the real transcendentalist. There is no bewilderment for such transcendentalists. The Lord himself also declares in the Bhagavad Gita 10.2, even the great sages and demigods can know hardly anything about my activities and transcendental potencies. The right explanation of the Lord's activities is given by grandfather Bhishma Deva 1.9.16 as follows. Nahyasya karhachit rajan uman veda vidhit sittam yad vijigyasaya yukta muhyanti kaviyopihi. O king, no one can know the plan of the Lord Sri Krishna. Even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, they are bewildered. 17. Mantreshu mamva upahooya yatvam akunthitakhandas sadatma bodhaha prichhe prabho mugdha iva pramattas tanno mano mohayativa deva. O my Lord, your eternal self is never divided by the influence of time. Oh, there is more. There is a lot more. There is a lot more. Okay, wait. Let me see if there's anything here that is not covered by Prabhupada. Nacha nishkriyatva, ajaratva, kalatmatva, atmaramatva, adinameva satyatvam, sakriyatva, janmavatva, bhitatva, graha ashramatvatvanam anukaranamatatvam iti vachyam. You cannot say that all of these activities of the Lord are simply imitations. Then in that case, it would not have been mentioned that the intelligence of the learned souls are disturbed. Sakriyatva adinanu karanani eva atu vastavani iti jnane kutah keda. Because what distress is there by acquiring the understanding that these activities are simply imitations, they are not real. Tathaiva akriyatvaadibhi prakrita kriya adeva nishidhyante natu aprakrita kriya adeva iti jnane kutah kheda. Similarly, if you were to say these activities are okay, when the supreme Brahman is described as akriya, it simply means that he's not engaging in material activities, etc., etc. If you were to invoke that logic, and that these activities and so on, they are non-material, what distress would there be with having that understanding? Tathaiva brahmatva bhagavatva abhyam eva akriyatva sakriyatva adini anukaranamatrani iti bruvana. Akriyatvam prakrita kriyatvam abhavatvam aprakrita janmavatvam iti cha bruvana. Brahmatva bhagavatvaabhyam eva akriyatva sakriyatva adi vyavastha iti bruvana. Yad buddhaya eva avidvamsa iti dhvani. The hint is, those who were to say these things, no, you're just mixing up between the Brahman aspect and Bhagavan aspect. The Brahman aspect is Akriya, the Bhagavan aspect is Sakriya, which are in the form of imitation. And that, or that Akriya means Aprakrita Kriya, and Ajanma means Aprakrita Janma. So, because that's a very clear distinction, arrangement of distinction between Brahman and Bhagavan aspects. So those who have to say these things, it's understood that their intelligence is not disturbed. And they are not learned souls. That is hinted here. Yaduktam Swayam Bhagavata, Swayam Bhagavan himself has stated, Name vidus suragana prabhavam na maharshaya iti suragana brahmadya api maharshaya vyasadya api me prakrishtam bhavam janma na viduhu iti tatrarthaha. Even demigods headed by Brahma, great sages headed by Vyasa, they do not understand my excellent birth. Bhishmenapi Yuktam. Bhishma also states the same, which Prabhupada quotes. 1.9.16. Okay. Okay, so then we come to 17. Oh my Lord, your eternal self is never divided by the influence of time, and there is no limitation to your perfect knowledge. Thus you were fully able to consult with yourself, yet you called upon me for consultation as if bewildered. Although you are never bewildered, this act of yours bewilders me. Kimcha mantreshu cha prastuteshu cha. What is this? Let's see. Something wrong here. Wait. Figure it out. Okay, Achyutaram Prabhu also has a question, so you can ask the question. In the meanwhile, I'll also try to trace out this.
Prabhuji, it's not clear to me in the previous verse how that contradiction is resolved. Like, what is the final conclusion?
Okay, let's wait. It will all come. It will come. Okay. Want to settle this particular issue. That something wrong with this. How did we, what is the verse? 3.4 point. The verse we are in.
हम भाग जाएंगे नहीं नहीं आएंगे
3.4.17. 3.3, 3.4, 3.4.17. किंच मंत्रेषु प्रसूतेषु सत्सु सत्सु माम आहूय वै अहो पृच्छः कुण्ठितः कालादिना खण्डः सन्ततः तदात्मा संशयादिरहितः बोधः विद्याशक्तिः यस्य. There is no limitation to your perfect knowledge. Your eternal self is never divided by the influence of time, which means your capacity for knowledge is not your capacity for knowledge is devoid of doubts and so on. Mugdhavad, agyavat. You behave as if you are bewildered, as if you are ignorant. Aparamattaha, avahitaha san, even though you have full alert knowledge about everything else, about everything. Mohayati iveti vastutaha swasya moha vahavat. See that word Eva there. Eva, as it is so. As if here also Eva comes. But here Mohiyati Eva. My mind appears to be bewildered. Vastutaha swasya moha bhava. Actually, I am not bewildered. Mantreshu, Jarasandavadha Rajasuya Adi Artha Gamana Vichara Adishu Prastuteshu Mam Vai Nishchitam Upahuya Yat Prachehe Uddhava Tvam Atrakim Kartavyam Tadbruhi Iti Aprachaha. During situations such as the killing, regarding the killing of Jarasandha, or going for the Rajasuya of Yudhishthir and so on, when there were discussions about whether to set about these tasks, then you would call me for the conclusion. You would ask, tell me what should be done now. Akuntitah kala adina akhandaha paripurnaha sada sarvadika eva atmanaha bodhaha samvit shaktihi yasya saha. Your samvit shakti, your potency of knowledge is continuous. It is also paripurna. It is complete, infinite, perfect. Mugdha iva yatha anyaha mugdha janaha prichyati tatha iti artha. You would ask me, just as a bewildered person were to ask, kimcha apramattaha karyantara vyavritti api rahitatvad iti bhavaha. And he would be alert by setting aside other activities. Tat tava yugapata eva maudhyam sarvagyam cha mohayati eva. Mohayati eva. You're simultaneously being innocent. Maudhya means innocent, or in a state of bewilderment, and being omniscient. That seems to bewilder me, which actually means, which factually bewilders me. Atra mugdha eva tvam natu mugdha iti tatha mohyati eva natu mohyati iti vyakhayam sangatya bhavad iti sangateshu vakyeshu madhya asya utthapanam vyartham syaditi atha tatha na vyakhyayam. Here, by seeing this context, then we should understand that he was bewildered, because even the other sages, they are disturbed. No? The other intelligent sages, they are disturbed. So therefore, he says here, Eva should be understood to be bewildering. And you can see in Prabhupada's translation also, he has followed that understanding. Uddhava was never actually bewildered, but he says that all these contradictions appear to be bewildering. The whole discussion between Krishna and Uddhava was meant for the benefit of Maitreya, who was sitting nearby. The Lord used to call Uddhava for consultation when Mathura was attacked by Jarasandha and others, and when the Lord executed great sacrifices as part of his routine royal work as Lord of Dwaraka. The Lord has no past, present, or future because he is unhampered by the influence of eternal time. Thus, nothing is hidden from him. He is eternally self-intelligent. Therefore, his calling upon Uddhava to give him enlightenment is certainly astonishing. All these actions of the Lord appear to be contradictory, although there is no contradiction in the routine activities of the Lord. Therefore, it is better to see them as they are and not attempt to explain them. Here is something in the chat box. I feel nobody is teaching practical knowledge in our ISKCON also, simply theoretical knowledge. We are all given standard instructions to carry out the instructions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nobody teaches these things, and how devotees will try to advance. What is there? Just 11 verses are there, Upadeshamrita. We just have to follow it, that's all. The purports are also very clear. We don't need... Krishna consciousness is simple if we are also simple. Not too complicated, no. It is simple. It is not easy, but it is simple. 18. Jnanam param swatma rahah prakasham provachakasmai bhagavan samagram apikshamam no grihanaya bhartar vadanjasa yad jinam tarema. My Lord, If you think as competent to receive it, kindly explain to us that transcendental knowledge which gives enlightenment about yourself, which enables one to cross over all affliction, and which you explained before to Brahmaji. Swatmanastava raho rahasyam tattvam tasya prakashitam kasmai brahmane sarvanamatvam arsham. Grammatical note. Naha asmakam grahanaaya api shamam yadi yogyam tarhi vada. That confidential knowledge which reveals your true self. You had spoken that to Brahma. If we are fit to receive that knowledge, then please speak. Bharataha, Swamin, O Lord, O Master, yat yataha virjinam samsara dukkham anjasa nayasena prishyamaha. So that we will very easily become free from the distress of material existence. Tasmad jnanam paramiti vrijinam pitamapi athatvai sandehena jatam nijadukham. Here distress, the distress which enables one to cross over all afflictions. Here the afflictions referred to, the afflictions caused by doubts, even amongst the learned souls. Bhavat padam bhojan nishevanotsukanam asmakam anya dukkha asprishtattvaditi bhavaha. Because for us who are eager to serve your lotus feet, we are not touched by any other distress. Samshaya aparodhanameva jnana ichhami itya. So I want knowledge which removes distresses regarding these subjects. Jnanamati swatmanaha tava rahaha sarva agamyam rahasyam yat mama jigyasyam tasya prakashaha yatra tat jnanam natu tvaya datum pratishrutam tat mahimavabhasam ityartha tasmai bhavan provacha chet vada. That knowledge that knowledge relating to yourself, which is not accessible to everyone. That is what I am asking about. Not the knowledge that you promise that you will say about the Bhagavatam that you taught. Yadva, alternate meaning. Kasmai Bhagavan provacha api tu na kasma api ityartha. Otherwise, kasmai can also be understood as to whom, not as to Brahmaji. That means to nobody. Tadapi yadi evam mam anukampase tada he bhartar vada. O my master, if you have compassion upon me, please speak that which you have spoken to nobody. Taccha no grahanaya kshamam asmakam shuddha dasya vatam grahitum yadi yogyam syat. We have accepted, we are your devotees in pure dasya. So if we are capable of accepting it, then you please speak. Kimva, another meaning. Yogatvepi yadi shakyam syat tada vada. Nachen ma vada iti bhava. Yataha. The alternate meaning is, even if we are qualified, if it is possible for you to speak, then you speak. Otherwise, don't speak. Yataha jnanad vrijinam utalakshanam madjigyasyam samprati upasthitam yadukula samhara tvad dehantar dhana adikam cha dukkha sindhum, by which we can cross over the ocean of miseries, which refers to all these different problems that I have already brought out to you pertaining to the destruction of the Yadu dynasty, the disappearance of your body, and so on. A pure devotee like Uddhava has no material afflictions because he engages constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. A devotee feels afflicted without the association of the Lord. Constant remembrance of the Lord's activities keeps the devotee alive. And therefore, Uddhava requested that the Lord please enlighten him with the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam as previously instructed to Brahmaji. 19. Itya Vedita Hardaya Mahyam Sab Bhagavan Paraha Adidesha Ravindaksha Atmanah Paramam Sthitim. When I thus express my heartfelt desires unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the lotus-eyed Lord instructed me about his transcendental situation. Aveditaha Hardaha Dhristitaha Viprayaha Yanatasmai. Paramam Sthitim Chatushloki Proktam. He instructed me about his transcendental situation refers to the Chatushloki. Tadrisha Rupatve Api Rahasyakya Prema Vashatamaya Leelamayi. Even though the subject was the Chatushloki, the subject that he had already covered in the Chatushloki. Specifically, he was asking about the nature of the various pastimes of the Lord, which are filled with his subordination to the pure love of his pure devotees, pure affectionate, loving devotees. And this is what is referred to as Rahasya, the confidential truth. Mahyam natu maitreyaya apiti arthaha. Ityavita hardaya mahyam. The lotus-eyed Lord instructed me. He did not instruct me and Maitreya. He instructed me. Atmanaha spasyastitim vyavastitim leelaya maryadam cha dvarakadi dhamsu nityan nivasam cha kintu ya stitihi shukadevana nidvritta napi uddhavena viduraya अन्यस्मै कस्मैचित् अपीति अतः सिद्धांत विशेष अलाभ निष्क्रियत्व सक्रियत्वादीनाम अचिंत्य शक्ति सिद्धत्वम एवाहुरे. Some authorities, they say that the eternal residence of the Lord in Dwaraka and the different abodes, about the various clearly delimited arrangements for the Lord's pastimes, the position of the Lord which was not brought out by Shukadeva Goswami, the topics which Uddhava did not teach Vidura or anyone else. These are to be understood to be not explaining specific points in Siddhanta. And the topics of Krishna being both Nishkriya and Sakriya and so on, that can be reconciled simply by referring to Krishna's inconceivable potencies. So some authorities speak like this. Yathoktam Bhagavatamrite karmanyani hasya iti padyam adhikritya tattanna vastavam chet syad vidyam buddhi brahmastada nasyadeveti achin yaiva shakti leelasu karanam iti. And as a support, it quotes from Bhagavatamrita of Rupa Goswami that if these pastimes were not to be real, and if the intelligence is bewildered pertaining to that, if it were not to be, if the intelligence were not to be bewildered relating to this, then the cause for all of this about the Lord's pastimes should be accepted as Krishna's inconceivable potency. That's all. The words Paramam Sthitim are significant in this verse. Paramam Sthitim. Paramam Stitim, transcendental situation. The Lord's transcendental situation was not even spoken of to Brahma when the 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.33 to 36 were explained. This transcendental situation comprises his dealings with devotees engaged in transcendental loving service as exhibited at Dwaraka and Vidvan. When the Lord explained this specific transcendental situation, it was meant for Uddhava only. Therefore, Uddhava particularly said, Mahyam unto me, although the great sage Maitreya was also sitting there. Such a transcendental situation is hardly understood by those whose devotion is mixed with speculative knowledge or fruitive activities. The Lord's activities in confidential love are very rarely disclosed to the general devotees who are attracted by devotion mixed with knowledge and mysticism. Such activities are the inconceivable pastimes of the Lord. 20. Sa eva marajita pada tirthat athita tattvatma vibodham marga pranamya padau parivritya devam ihagatoham virahaturatma. I've studied the path of understanding self-knowledge from my spiritual master, the personality of Godhead. And thus, after circumambulating him, I've come to this place very much aggrieved due to separation. Aradhita padaha Bhagavan saeva tirtham guruhu tasmad adhitaha adhigataha tatvatma vibhodasya paramartha atmajnanasya margaha yena saha aham devam parivritya pradakshini अधीतः ज्ञातः तत्वेन याथार्थ्येन आत्मा अभीष्ट विज्ञानस्य मार्गः चतुश्लोकी रूपः येन सह. So he learnt about the topics that are taught in the Chatushloki from the Lord himself. Exactly what he wanted to clearly understand, that he learnt properly from the Lord himself. Tasya cha bhagavat prema vasha pratipadakatvad virahatura atma eva मेव सन् विहागतोऽहम् इति अनेन चेत् तस्य वृक्षज्ञानतात्पर्यत्वं स्वतः एव खण्डितम्. Because that explanation established the fact that the Supreme Lord was subordinate to the selfless love for him. Virahatura atma. Here, Virahatura atma. I was aggrieved in separation. Out of this agreement in separation, I have come here. From this, it is understood that Vidura's understanding was not based on dry knowledge. That is naturally clarified here. So, Uddhavoham aradhita padaha Bhagavan saivatirtha guruhu tasmadhatit tattvarupasya atma vibhodasya jnanamargaha yena saha. So, I understood the pathway by which one can realize it. Pravritya parikramya tadah param bhavata kim kritam tanmaya na drishtam iti bhava. After that, what the Supreme Lord did, I do not know. Because I circumambulated him when I came. Sri Uddhava's actual life is a direct symbol of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam enunciated first to Brahmaji by the personality of Godhead. These 4 very great and important verses from Srimad Bhagavatam are particularly taken out by the Mayavadi speculators who construe a different purport to suit their impersonal view of monism. Here is the proper answer to such unauthorized speculators. The verses of Srimad Bhagavatam are purely theistic science, understandable by the postgraduate students of the Bhagavad Gita. The unauthorized dry speculators are offenders at the lotus feet of the Lord, Sri Krishna, because they distort the purports of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam to mislead the public. And prepare a direct path to the hell known as Andhatamasa. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 16.20, such envious speculators are without knowledge and are surely condemned life after life. They unnecessarily take shelter of Sripad Shankaracharya, but he was not so drastic as to commit an offense at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. According to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sripad Shankaracharya preached the Mayavada philosophy for a particular purpose. Such a philosophy was necessary to defeat the Buddhist philosophy of the non-existence of the spirit soul, but it was never meant for perpetual acceptance. It was an emergency. Thus, Lord Krishna was accepted by Shankaracharya as a Supreme Personality of Godhead in his commentation on the Bhagavad Gita. Since he was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, he did not dare write any commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam because that would have been a direct offense at the lotus feet of the Lord. But later speculators in the name of Mayavada philosophy unnecessarily make their commentary on the Chatushloki Bhagavatam without any bona fide intent. The monistic dry speculators have no business in the Srimad Bhagavatam because this particular Vedic literature is forbidden for them by the great author himself. Srila Vyasadeva was definitely forbidden persons engaged in religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and finally salvation from trying to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, which is not and for them. Bhagavatam 1.1.2 Dharma Projeta Kaitavotra Paramo Nirvacharanam Satam Vedyam. Sripad Sridhar Swami, the great commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam, has definitely forbidden the salvationists or monists to deal in Srimad Bhagavatam regarding Projita Kaitavaha. He says, Prashabdena Mokshabhisandhirapi Nirastha. Srimad Bhagavatam has pointed out that this scripture is not meant for those who hanker for liberation, salvation. It is not for them. Yet such unauthorized persons perversely try to understand Srimad Bhagavatam and thus they commit offenses at the feet of the Lord, which even Sripad Shankaracharya dared not to do. Thus they prepare for their continuation of miserable life. It should be particularly noted herein that Uddhava studied the Chatushloki Bhagavatam directly from the Lord, who first spoke the verses to Brahmaji, and this time the Lord explained more confidentially the self-knowledge mentioned in the previous verse as Paramam Sthitim. Upon learning such self-knowledge of love, Uddhava felt very much aggrieved by feelings of separation from the Lord. Unless one is awakened to the stage of Uddhava, everlastingly feeling the separation of the Lord and transcendental love, as exhibited by Lord Chaitanya also, one cannot understand the real import of the four essential verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. One should not indulge in the unauthorized act of twisting the meaning, and thereby putting himself on the dangerous path of offense. 21. Soham tad darshana hlada viyogarti yutah prabho gamishye dayitam dasya badaryashrama mandalam. My dear Vidura, now I am mad for want of the pleasure of seeing him. Just to mitigate this, I am now proceeding to Badrikashrama in the Himalayas for association as I have been instructed by him. What is this? Tasta. Come on. Right. 3.4. Tasya. Tasta. Yeah. Tasya darshanena ahladaha yogena artihi cha abhyam yutaha. I am delighted by having seen him, and I'm distressed in separation from him. With both of this, Bhadarashrama sthanam gamishyami. I'll now go to Badrikashrama. Virahatratma chet tarhi katham chalitum gaditum va shaknoshi. If you are soul in complete distress because of being separated from the Lord, how can you go? How can you speak? Tatra ahasohamiti. Anticipating that, this verse is spoken. Darshanahladaha shanakair bhagaval lokadityanusarena. He was delighted with the Lord's meeting, also implies that you will be able to see me. Viyogarti yutastu nilokam punaragata ityanusarena. And he was in the pain of separation from the Lord. That should be understood in terms of the statement that Uddhava was absorbed in separation. When Vidura asked him questions about Krishna, Vidura, who was in Samadhi in the spiritual world, gradually came to external consciousness and came to the world of human beings. This is with reference to that. Shanakair Bhagavan Lokat. Okay, wait, let's just make sure we got it accurate. What is this? This must be here. Please, so that verse. I know what this is. I know what this is. This is the same verse. Nilokam Punaragatam. Same verse. 3.2.6. Shanakair Bhagavan Lokan Nilokam Punaragatam. Same. So he was absorbed in the bliss of seeing him internally. And when he came to this world of human beings in consciousness, then he became filled with the distress of separation. That's what this is referring to. ततो वियोगे अपि मध्ये मध्ये स्वसाक्षात्कार असमर्थः सन् तस्य दयितं मां प्रस्थापयितुं वाञ्छितं बद्र्याश्रममपि गमिष्यामि इति अर्थः. Because I am very dear to him, and even while being separated from him, because I am not able to perceive him directly, therefore I am in distress. And he wanted to send me, who am dear to him, to Badrika Ashrama, which he very much wanted to do. So I will go to that place. Krishna Chakravarti Thakur. Now, tvam tad viraham vyathaya katham jivasi. How do you live with the pain of separation from him? Tatraha kshane kshane tad darshanena ahladaha tad viyogena artikicha tabhyam yutaha. Because every moment, by seeing him, I am delighted. And by being away from him, I am pained. Badriyashramam iti tatraiva gantum bhagavadashe adesha. Now I am going to Badriyashrama, Badrikashrama, because that was the very instruction of Bhagavan, Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure devotee of the Lord of the standard of Uddhava constantly associates with the Lord in the double perception of simultaneous separation and meeting. The pure devotee is not for a moment unengaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. Execution of the Lord's service is the main occupation of the pure devotee. Uddhava's separation from the Lord was unbearable, and therefore he started to Badrikashrama in obedience to the Lord's order, because the order of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical. As long as one is engaged in the execution of the order of the Lord, there is no factual separation from him. 22. Yatra Narayano Devo Narascha Bhagavan Rishi Mriduttivram Tapodirgham Tepate Loka Bhavanau. There in Badrikashrama, the personality of God in his incarnation as the sages Narayana has been undergoing great penance since time immemorial for the welfare of all amiable living entities. Mridu para upadrava shunyam tivram dushyaram. The Naranarayana have been executing austerities, tapas. They both are loka bhavana. They're absorbed in the welfare of all living entities. And the nature of their tapas is described as mridu and tivram and dirgham also. So Mridu indicates that their tapas was such that it was not harmful for anyone at all. Tivram indicates that it was very, very difficult to execute. Dirgham indicates that it is up to the end of a kalpa. That much they have decided to do. Loka Bhavana indicates that they are interested in Loka Anugraha, blessing the world. Tatraiva tadamsha sakshat Narayana aste ityaha. In that Padrikashrama, the Lord's expansion, Lord's plenary portion, Narayana is directly there. Mridu, Sarvaloka Sukhadam, Tivram, Sarvalokaihi Dushcharam, Dirgham, Bahukala Vyapi, Lokanam Bhavanau Utpadakau Palakau Va. Mridu indicates that the austerity that they perform gives happiness to all the worlds. Tivram indicates that the austerities that they perform are difficult for everyone to perform. Dirgham indicates that the austerities have been going on for a long period of time. Loka Bhavan now indicates that they are the ones, Narayana, who created this world, all these worlds, and who maintain these worlds. Let me see. Purport. I will deal with this purport tomorrow. The question why Uddhava was asked to go to Badrikashram only, any particular reason, I think it will become clear coming now. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur will explain in further detail. We'll see all that. Okay, we'll stop with that. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.